over 12 years on this lake. Been fishing here my whole life, born and raised. I gave up my charters.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. You ain't the only one booing. But gave up my charters, get back into working for the future rather than working for the day, which the charters is great, but I'm ready to go back to fishing myself. Getting friends and family out there. So with that being said, that kind of leaves me, now I can go out fishing how I want to do it. There's 100 ways to catch these fish. Everybody has their own ways they like to do it. But if I'm gonna go out, say fall's coming, probably gonna do a handful of things. I don't really have any
Hey Travis,
set thing.
can you come more a little more in the center? There we go. There we go.
I got props. Can I get my props?
Sure, get your props.
I got a $40 bucket. $40 across the poles.
Hope you got two $20 bills in it.
That was in a bucket, man. Yeah, that went away with the purchase. I don't know what to bring, so I brought a few things. So fall coming up. I like to do a lot of artificial fishing. I know Lacey, my buddy's been here talking about he's got to make some swamp monkeys. And I think probably everybody knows what a swamp monkey is now. If you don't, I brought some. He makes two colors, makes it like a couple different colored heads, makes two colored skirts, white and you blue. I'll hang him on the bucket. Somebody can take a peek at him if you want to. Another thing I like to throw in the fall is a swim bait. Everybody's got their own swim baits. That's called a Mr. Wags. That dude right there, they changed the name. They come out of North Carolina. I think they call them Aaron's baits now. But everybody's got their own swim baits. As for fall fishing, that's about as simple as you can get. Everybody kind of uses bucktails. I think the swamp monkeys kind of took over bucktails. But a lot of it's hard to beat a bucktail sometimes, but especially when you've been using it for 20, 30 years. As far as other than that, I like to pull the planer boards in the fall time. But with that being said, the way this lake is, man, we don't fish it like we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Things have changed. As of right now, everybody, if you're using artificial, everybody's kind of out jigging, dropping down deep, and these fish will stay down lake. Oh, they'll stay down there all the way into November. Sometimes it used to be right at October, man. Early as mid-September, we was up in the river. Mormons, Hardee's, something on Blackwater, way up Gills Creek, all the way up toward Ponderosa. But as far as getting out there in the fall, man, it's hard for me to go out there and beat the biggest gizzard shad you can find, put it right on the bank, right on the planer board. I run about 6 feet, 8 feet of line behind the planer board when he's right on the bank. And a couple things I'll do is I will run a stinger hook on those big gizzards. Your main hook, right there. When I go to get it, that's where I do it. Your main hook, and I got a treble hook. Everything is snell tied except for the shank of the hook. But that's so you're running in big 10-inch baits, 11-inch baits, 12-inch baits. When you get those short strikes and small fish, even big fish, if they're kind of lethargic, they'll still slap that bait. But that way, if he comes up and tail grabs that bait, you don't lose a bait, you don't kill a bait, but still miss the fish. As far as fall time, we'll use that method.
We've got a question for you.
Talk to me.
What you just said about trailing maybe 6 feet behind the planer board, is that to the weight or to the hook?
All right, good question, because I'm kind of rambling. I need some questions. Anybody's got something, holler at me. When I throw this guy out, I'm gonna bait it up. If he's on the bank, he has no weight. I got a bead. The only reason I use a bead is to keep that planer board from slipping over your swivel and coming down to your hook. Other than that, I wouldn't want to bead on there anyways. When he's right on the bank, I'm running about 6 to 8 feet. Just say I'm running 3 baits, 3 planer boards, 3 baits. I'm gonna stagger them guys. And what I'll do is I'll run this guy 6 feet, and basically when I say 6 feet, I'm talking about, I got that guy up, the bait's hanging right there, I put him in the water, just say right at that table, that's a good 6 feet.
Okay.
And the same thing, what I'm gonna do, that's gonna go in the bank. I put that middle planer board out, I'm gonna put in maybe, depends on the shallow, depends on, just say you're fishing a creek, so I might put in 10 feet. The one next to the boat, I'm still gonna put him out, you know, he's still gonna be 25, 30 yards off the boat, but I might put an 1/8 ounce weight, and I might put a 3/8 ounce weight. But still, and what I'll do is I'll kinda give that guy a pitch. I might actually use a smaller bait up next to the boat. Get that thing down. I think a lot of times, and you might see this, I've seen this on YouTube videos, not just stripers, but when you go in over that shallow water, it pushes them fish down, pushes them out. Especially on that live scope, I've seen a lot of that on YouTube videos. I don't have live scope, but on side scan, you can see them things actually, looks like they're streaking away from the boat when you're fishing in like 4 feet of water, 5 feet of water. So I think just sometimes getting it down, getting it away from the surface, getting it down, might have a little lethargic fish, might want to take the bite before he takes off out of there. That's for the distance. I'm an estimator, so 6 feet, right on the bank, man, and you don't want much longer than that, because if you're using a big good, he's gonna swim in everything he can. As far as, if I'm fishing main channel, like even if I'm fishing the bank, I like to have 1 or 2 boards out here, I might not pay attention to them. I might not even check a bait on them, I might forget about them. The only time I actually pay attention to them is when you get that bonus fish. But what you do is I just give that guy 20 feet, 30 feet, hook a board up.
Right.
And I'm running 1/8 ounce, 3/8 ounce, depends if I'm running a gizzard, a wide, or a blueback. If I'm running a small bait, he's got a weight on him, unless he's on the bank.
Okay.
If
Thank you.
I'm running a float, he's mostly got a weight on him, unless it's a big gizzard. Even with a big gizzard, I don't think it matters if you got a weight on him, he can do what he wants to do. But as for getting out there and targeting things in the fall, especially when you're running, it don't really matter if you're running bait or if you're running artificial. Fall time's different than right now, but right now you're looking for the fish. In the fall time, you might not always see the fish. I always want to look. I always got my side scan put on. I always got my sonars on. I always got my eyes out. But a lot of times you just need to put yourself where you think they should be. You need to put yourself on points. You need to find the bait, find it up in the creeks. If you're fishing, just say you go up in here, all right, you'll go in Indian Creek, and you go in there halfway, you're not seeing no bait, not seeing no even just balls of bait. You probably need to push in further, or you need to head on to the other side, or you need to head on to another creek. At least I would. If I'm not seeing bait and any sign of anything, I mean, you might pick up a random dude here and there, but as for, I'm going in, I'm gonna go up toward Mormons, might not see the fish, the fish might be on the bottom. And though they don't sit on the bottom like a bass or a catfish, they'll get on the bottom and right there where you sonar, you just can't see them, you gotta make something. You drag the bait across, a lot of times you see them come up, but when you're searching, when you're looking, you're not really seeing the fish. So in the fall time, it was entirely different what I do if I was going out today, when you're trying to find these fish. I'm gonna go out and put myself, there should be bait, should be some type of, something for them to relate to, whether it be a long riprap bank, a shallow area, a flat point. I don't know if that all makes sense if I'm just rambling, but, and well, no matter really if you're throwing artificial or throwing planer boards, I'd get up on, find that bait, man, fall time. But with our lake, it seems like fall time when this lake only starts till November, mid-November. It used to be, and there's probably some fish up there right now, up at Trussell's on the running side. But it's not a lot, and you're gonna hit them one day and you're gonna see them 3 days.
So what would you say is the water temperature when you're thinking about fall fishing? Because, you know, today we were like 80.
Yeah, you'll be surprised, especially this week coming with these 50-degree nights. It's gonna cool that water, but you're not gonna see it much down here. You're gonna see it up in the rivers. And with that being said, it's not really a magic number. it was almost, just say, 8 or 10 years ago, we'd be fishing down lake, and then all of a sudden, it's just like they were gone. Like a light switch, you can have that for 2 days, 3 days, like it's gone. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm getting kind of frustrated, burned out. You go upriver, and the fish is stacked. And I don't know, it's not really a magic number. If it is, I don't know it. But once that water starts getting down in the 70s, mid to low 70s, you need to start thinking about maybe pulling out of deep water. But we'll catch, but that used to be more dominant than it is now. If I'm going out now, you're gonna find that, we find fish all the way to November and 120 feet of water, and water still be 62 degrees. We'll be right in front of Bernard's. You know, it's just, the bluebacks in this lake, I love them, but they've changed the fishing for everything. I love the bluebacks. But with that being said, the fish that do go up, and I still like to go up and fish for them, and I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna try to find them 20 pounders and 25 pounders. I'm gonna go up river. I'm gonna go up in the creeks. You might not have to go all the way up to Hardy like you used to. You can find a lot of these fish, and you'll find a lot of big gizzards in these lower end creeks too. That way you won't have to worry about running out of gas. $6 a gallon, I say, good gracious. But
would you talk about like the like in the fall, like where and how you go to find your big gizzards? I think that's something that
Oh, you can't do that.
well, you don't have to give a spot. Don't call it spot. But like
You got that.
when you go to catch it, I know a lot of guys, they'll go, like, if they've got a trip tomorrow, they're out at sundown this evening, getting their big gizzards for tomorrow.
I would get my gizzards today,
Yeah.
because you're not always guaranteed gizzards to the morning. Them things might be over 30 feet of water, you might see them, but you might not be able to get them. If you're going to, it's hard to really, that's something you almost need to show somebody.
Yeah.
Of how to go find gizzards. The biggest thing I can tell you is plan to get your boat dirty. Cause you're gonna get in the mud. If you got a sonar on the bottom of your trolling motor, you're probably not gonna catch a lot of gizzards. Cause you're gonna, if you don't wanna bust that thing off. Cause you're gonna get up in, you can get up in that 1 foot of water, 2 foot of water, you'll get mud and trees and turtles and stuff all over your boat. And, but that's just the nature of it. I mean, you can find good schools of gizzards, October, November, they'll school up and you'll see them right out in front of Mormons, you'll see them schooling up out in front of Ponderosa. Same thing up in Gills Creek where you get back into Red Barn. But a lot of times those are your hand size, your $5 bill size gizzard shad, which are great baits. If I'm going after gizzards, when I say I'm going after gizzards, I'm going looking for them big, everybody calls them blood shad when they get up 10, 12 inches long. But they can be hard to find. They ain't like they used to be. A lot of things changed on this lake. And I was talking to you the other day. Dakota here. I was talking to him on the phone, and we was talking about it. And I think my theory on it, and I tell a lot of people this, is I think these bluebacks they eat a lot of the fish fry. I don't know what Dan Wilson says about that, but they're just basically, I don't know if anybody knows what a skipjack is in the Tennessee rivers and all that. The blueback is about a half size of a miniature skipjack. They eat fish fry, so I don't know if that has anything to do with gizzard shad, but we don't have the gizzard shad we used to. What I was trying to get at. I don't know anything about that. But as for catching a man, get up in the mud, plan on busting some nets and ripping some nets and knocking the bottom off the trolling motor every once in a while. But,
so if we don't have the gizzard shed that we used to, what do you think that's meant for the striper population?
I think that's why these things have changed and they stay downriver they stay down like they used to. They feed on these bluebacks, which are
But
great.
you don't think there are fewer striper?
No, I don't think they're fewer. I don't think there's fewer at all.
You think they're smaller?
I'll tell you, man, I don't
Fish are healthy.
I think fish is great. It's just you don't have the numbers we used to catch. What we we don't have those football size Julys in middle of July and August size schools that we used to have 10 years ago either. But I think it has to do with the bluebacks. These things spread out and they're feeding on these bluebacks, just like you talked to a lot of the bass fishermen. They don't like bluebacks because you got these bass hanging over 90 feet of water, chasing bluebacks around. Well, live scopes kind of changed that theory on some things. But, I don't think the fishing's worse, I just think it's different. You pull up, just say you pull right up in front of Beacon Marina and the whole boat left, right side of Virginia Dare is just covered with fish. But you pull in there now, you gotta look all through there, all the way past the shoal, all the way back around. You hit school, you catch 2, 5, 10 fish, and they're gone. And then you never see them again. But you go over Strawberry Banks, and you hit another school. You know, you'll catch 2 fish, 5 fish, whatever, and then they go. You look around, you hit another school. I just think it spread these fish out, smaller schools, and just for the years that I've been out here, day on the water, every day on the water, it's just it seems to me like the fishing's good. It's just not like you can't fish like you did 10 years ago. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't think these fish care about not as many gizzard shad because they got them big bluebacks which are 10, 12 inches long themselves. Some of them. But and they love them. I mean, it's even changed the way. If I'm going flathead fishing tonight, I'm gonna fish for them there. Just because the way we did 6, 8 years ago. They'd be up on those mud flats feeding on gizzard shad, but we don't have the gizzard shad like we used to. Okay, but I think just like everything, they love them bluebacks too. You catch a lot of channels out, a lot of channel cats now, even when you're not fishing for them. You catch a lot of channels out 20 feet down over 140 feet of water. What are they doing out there?
They shouldn't be suspended.
Well, they suspend a lot more than people give a catfish, more so than a flathead for sure. You catch a lot more than you did when we didn't have bluebacks. But everything loves them. You read in the Bassmaster magazines about how much protein, all the stuff. I don't know how fish knows it, but I can tell you right now, I have done this, and I've put bluebacks on down rods on this side of the boat, alewives on down rods on this side of the boat. It's on those 2 to 1. I don't know how they know the difference. But
Are you using the same color hook, or are you using them red hooks?
hey, we can't talk about that.
Travis, are you saying they prefer the bluebacks to the alewives?
I mean, I think they're bigger. They're a wider bait. If you look at them in the tank, they got bigger shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Go by the Bassmaster guys. They talk about they have more protein. All the different stuff that they do.
So yes,
Yeah,
you think they like them better?
it's hard for them to pass it up.
Hmm.
And there's 100 ways of fishing between planer boards, and bottom fishing, and fishing on floats and downlines. And it's just I haven't found the wrong way to fish a blueback. Yes, sir.
Travis, let me ask you something. If you could go out tomorrow
Yes, sir.
and you could have a tank full of 10-inch gizzards, or you could have a tank full of 10-inch blueback, which would you take the tank?
That's going to depend on where I'm going. Now, I know I'm here, but that's going to depend on where I'm going in the lake. The only way I would take those gizzards to that tomorrow, if I was going out tomorrow. Now, if this is November, we'll have a different conversation. But if I'm going out tomorrow and I got a tank full of 12-inch gizzard shads, I'm going to Hardy. I'm not going to use them things anywhere else. I'm not going to Becky and Betty's. I know there's fish there. I'm not going to Linville. I'm not going to Craddock Creek. I'm going to Hardy. There's not a lot of fish up there right now, but the water's starting to cool, and it's cooler up there than it is down here. And we've caught some big, big fish upriver, anywhere from, just say, Chandler Brothers all the way to Hardy Bridge, September, October. Even when you still get 90-degree days. Now, if I got a choice of those big bluebacks, I'm going down where y'all was texting each other, following each other. Right? that would be my only difference. But like I said, if I got that tank of gizzards, I'm going upriver right now. And I put them on fighting boards. I put them on the bank. If I'm on the flats, I put them as far out on the flats as I can, covering as much water as I can, because the fish can be spread out.
Do they stay up there all year long?
I want to say yes, but not that you can get to them in a boat. And the only reason I know that, because I have some friends that do go below the Parkway Bridge, and I've caught them down there in July. But if you take a boat, and I had my skiff, I wasn't afraid to beat the crap out of that thing. I would take it all the way up to Explore Park, and I would go to the first set of ripples in that thing, and I would tie up, we'd go up there in the summertime and catch fish. And the water up there in the middle of July and August would still be 74, 76 degrees. So them fish, I think, the ones, I don't know if they get trapped or they just stay up there, cause there's bait up there. But if you want to do some river fishing for stripers, kinda like you do in Tennessee, but you need a jet boat, or you need a wade. I think there's some fish go up there, and I've been up there and I've caught a few in the summer months, but I've always been flathead fishing. And it was just a random thing. Can't say I would go up there and target them, but I do know that in years past, they start showing up a lot more about the first September, and as September rolls on in October. But it's almost like, until you get to that prime fall time, you got fish upriver and you got fish downriver, but you got a void in the middle, if that makes sense. It's like they know, instinct or whatever it is, they know to run upriver, that's where the gizzard shad are. Same thing, the ones downriver, they know to stay there until it's whatever triggers their mind to go. Anything, ask me something, give me something, yes.
You mentioned before Ponderosa. Now, I'm real close to Ponderosa. Maybe 2-3 years ago, I was taking my neighbor out, a little kid out, and Todd had told me the same thing that you were saying. Go up there, put your gizzard 4 to 5 feet behind your planer board, and just go through the 4 feet of water. You can't mark any fish in 4 feet of water, at least I couldn't.
No, you ain't marking that.
I didn't see nothing and didn't catch anything. I just had no faith in fishing in 4 feet of water.
The only time I don't have faith fishing in that type of water is when it's muddy.
That was
But
always money
a
in my
lot of it
Ponderosa.
has to do with time of the year too. Ponderosa don't seem like it kicks on a little bit later than the Roanoke Riverside, just cause it's a small area. If that makes sense. You go up toward, you've been up, since you're on that side, have you been up toward the Trussell area, Hardy area of the Roanoke Riverside?
No, I'm on Blackwater.
I know, that's what I'm asking you, have you been up that
No,
way?
no.
Yes, you got a lot more flats, you got a lot more silts done filled in, a lot more mud flats. Ponderosa, you only got a little bit. You got that big turn right there,
Yeah.
and you got the channel that you can hug on the left side to get up above Ponderosa if you wanna go up toward the river.
That's
But then other than
basic.
that, once you come back down, it starts kinda silting out, but you start getting in that 15-ish feet of water as you're kinda heading downstream Ponderosa. I think, isn't there like a big silt island out in front of Ponderosa now?
Yeah,
Yeah, right at
and
the
that's a
turn.
tree island.
Yeah. It's been a couple years since I've been up that far, but yeah, I think it has, it's all silted in right in the
Oh,
turn
yeah.
now, ain't it?
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a time thing. Just because you might have went up there, I don't know what time, just say you went up there.
October-ish.
Just say you hit it at 9 o'clock in the morning. Not saying you did, but just say you went up there at 9 o'clock in the morning, well, they wasn't there. But you go the next day, try it right at daybreak. A lot of times they'll get right on them flats. In my experience, if I'm going up Hardy, and the same thing as Ponderosa, I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna be right up there when the sun's cracking the mountain. I'm gonna have the boards out, the sun's cracking the mountains. You get there, you always got that, not always, but you generally got that early morning bite. First crack of dawn, you got that bite. Then you got like a midday lull when you're fishing those, and this ain't every day, but you got an average 75-degree day, nice bluebird skies. We have like a lull. Then 10, 11 o'clock, it's almost like they flip the trigger. And it could be 10, 11 o'clock, could be 2, 3 o'clock. And it peters out. Same thing, a lot of times it's a timing thing, and I have went up and back on one stretch of water that I know I was gonna hold fish, there's bait on, there's gizzards, you see them flipping, when it flips. And a lot of times you make 3, 4, 5 passes, not get hit, and then you turn around, and one piece like, all right, I'm gonna do one more pass, and bam, one blows up out the water. Next thing you know, you double it up. A lot of it's a time thing, and just because you did it today, might be entirely different tomorrow. But I wouldn't give up on it just because you've done it a handful of times,
You know, there's always shad up there flipping, you know, the smaller stuff,
you know.
but, you know,
A lot of times when you
Basic
get into
fish
that
isn't there.
smaller stuff, there's two things that I'll do, like you get in that small stuff, you got all them little gizzards about that big, and it looks like a football field out there. A lot of things you can do is run them planers through there, right through the middle of them, with big shad, give them something to stand out. Or either what I'll do is I'll slow down where everything's almost ticking the bottom. Get your baits, whether you're running matching gizzards, you know, little peanut gizzards, alewives, bluebacks, get them to where they almost tick the bottom. Get them down below. Get them down below the school. Sometimes just rather just trolling around, slow up, speed down, something that'll trigger a bite. Usually if I'm in those big football field school bait, just because there's so much bait, that fish, unless he's right in front of you, he can't see your bait. There's a wall of gizzard shad. You run through them with your motor, you see them jumping everywhere, splitting out. You might see the stripers in there swirling off. You know there's fish in there. So sometimes you almost got to get out of the bait to catch fish. I know that's entirely different from what I just told you. But that's generally only speaking when you get those huge masses of threadfinch, threadfinch now, but peanut gizzards. Sometimes you got to get out of the bait to catch fish, if that makes sense, versus what I told you 15 minutes ago. But that's kind of a certain circumstance when you're up there. You almost want to, a lot of times you can look, and if you're seeing bigger flips, has bigger shad, a lot of times you just need to move over to that area. A lot of them times the fish will congregate around the bigger shad, hang out that way. Sometimes if you come up, you're coming up Ponderosa, you get Ponderosa, you see side to side little peanut gizzards. Go past them, try that. Go up above them sometimes. A lot of times, you're talking about finding gizzard shad. A lot of times you'll find your peanuts 3 or 4 feet of water, your gizzards in 1 foot of water. And when it comes to fishing, a lot of times they're fishing right in between. Some of them's feeding on the big ones, some of them's feeding on the little ones. That's all a day-to-day thing. But
Now I'm more of an artificial lure person.
yes, sir.
In tidal water, when you'd see a school of shad breaking, the rule of thumb was always you'd cast to the edge of the shad or past the shad and come through the edge of it, not through the middle of it, and that's where you'd get your fish. So what I'm saying here is you have the shad ball with jumping around. Shouldn't you just be sending your either live bait or lures to the edges of the bait
Talking
ball?
about the fish are busting the bait or just the bait itself, if you're targeting?
Well, I'm talking about the bait is busting the water,
Yeah.
and you're assuming that something's around it, feeding on it, because it's coming to the surface. And, I always put my lures just to the edges
Yes,
of
sir.
the bait ball,
Yes,
not
sir.
go through it.
And that's 100% right.
Okay.
But the biggest difference between other bodies of water, Smith Mountain, a lot of times when you find that bait, they're only in 5 feet of water, and they're from side to side.
Right.
So you almost have to fish through them. Like I said, sometimes you gotta get out of the bait to catch fish, which is entirely 100% what you said, getting outside that bait to get right on those fish. And they could be on this side of them one day, just like these fish down here, you're chasing around Craddock Creek. They're on one side of the creek one day, they on this side of the creek the next day.
Damn straight.
But it's kind of, I don't know, it's 6 to 1, half dozen other when it comes to day by day. You just gotta put yourself out there, figure out what they're doing that day, cater to it, adapt to it.
Bob, if you're talking about the fish actually busting the shad on the surface, you put them in the head.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Those fish are chasing the
Worry
bait,
about hitting
throw
them,
it to
hit
them,
them
no
in the
matter.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, you got a
If you're
bait ball.
fishing,
You got a bait ball.
if you're fishing the bait ball, if you're fishing just a big water bait, he's right, fishing around it, you can fish through it, because with here, it's saltwater too, you fish through it, but that's what I say about picking the bottom. Sometimes them fish, they might not be actively feeding on the bait, but they ain't gonna leave.
Well, all day today, the stripers run underneath the balls.
Yep, and that's what I was saying about being in the fall, having them baits sticking the bottom. just getting them down below that bait, man. Have a little slower presentation. I don't know if it's like a reaction strike where that bait's wounded to them, and it's ticking along the bottom.
Yeah, if you threw it past the shad and tried to bring it down to where he was underneath the shad, they wouldn't touch it. But if you threw it and brought the spoon through the shad,
Yeah,
when it came out the bottom side, they couldn't stand it.
almost like a reaction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, one's handicapped or something, it looked like an easy. But if you threw it past, they wouldn't touch it.
You go up there tomorrow, be vice versa.
No.
Yes, sir.
Does that, blueback, do they go back in the creeks or up the river too with the rest of the lake?
I ain't 100% sure. I do know they will go back into the shallows of the creeks when the springtime and the fall time the water's cool. Right now, main channel, they're like an LYs, they can't tolerate a lot of the hot water. If I put it in my bait tank today, even though the water's right around 80, it's cooled a few degrees, I still gotta drop that temperature in my bait tank for them to live more than a couple hours. But they will filter back, and I have caught bluebacks while I'm catching gizzard shads in 1-2 feet of water. But the water's in the 50s and 60s too. Yes.
How about artificial day, when you throw an artificial for throwing the swamp monkeys, what's your strategy, what do you do?
It's not a wrong way to work a swamp monkey, but I got 2 ways I'll do it. I brought this one just in case we got off topic. If I was going out today, I'd be using a jig, vertical jigging, casting out, bouncing back under those schools. But if I'm going out throwing a monkey, which, unless you find them pushing up on top, upriver, or you find them downriver whenever because they will eventually you will start seeing surface action here over the next couple of weeks. I do it 2 ways, swamp monkey, throw it out. If I'm throwing, just say, I got a point, I'm fishing, I'm casting right up on the riprap, putting it in about 2 feet of water, I'm gonna hop that thing back to you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use that wrist, I'm gonna hop it, let it fall. As it's falling, I'm winding the slack. I'm not pulling down on it, but when I hop that thing, wind the slack. And I'll hop the thing all the way to the boat. If I'm casting out and I know it's gonna drop a little bit deeper, as I'm coming down that point, I'll pause and let it sink. But I'm still hopping that thing. And I have noticed when you got some swirling fish, I don't know if it's just me or a coincidence of times I've done it. And the second way I'll do it is I'll throw that monkey out, especially if you got active fish, and almost just like you're rolling a bucktail. Slow as you can stand it, let the monkey do the work. It's a steady retreating. You might pause, let it sink. But I'm not hopping, I'm not jigging, I'm not moving. I'm just a slow moving. Just slowly rolling that thing just like old bucktails. Naturally, the 2 ways that'll work these monkeys is I'll throw them out. If I'm targeting shallow water, I'm hopping it back to you. If I notice I'm getting, they're swirling and I'm not getting bit, or if they're hitting the monkey but they're not taking it, I'll throw it out and I'll do that slow roll. But when I'm starting out, I'm always throwing with that hop. I'm hopping that monkey back to you. And I'm hopping pretty consistent speed too. I'm not really doing it real slow. I'm popping that thing and I'm moving it. It's always moving.
So you're hopping the monkey.
Hopping the monkey.
Okay. I remember that.
I ain't gonna tell you what we used to call it when me and Lacey first started using that. Yeah, it's, Lacey's told me people put paddle tails on them, put curly tails on them, they roll them just like a bucktail, and that's the only way they fish them, and they wear them out. So, best thing, get out there and find your own preference. Figure out how you like to do it. That's basically, I'll do anything fish want to do, but that's the 2 ways I'm gonna start with. I'm gonna start hopping back if it's not working, or I'm getting short strikes. I'm gonna start rolling that thing as slow as I can stand. I'm gonna start like a bastard.
So when you're talking about hopping the monkey, is that only the jig that has the skirt on it, or do you do the same thing with the triangle and the
All right,
fluke?
now, when I'm talking about the monkey, I'm talking about the monkey itself. That's the original monkey. That's with
the skirt?
That's with the rubber skirt on it.
Yep.
And I'm putting a Zoom Super Fluke trailer on it, 5-inch.
Yep.
Try to match the color. The blue ones, I use albino. The white ones, I use a pearl or white ice. That's just my preference. But anything that matches, I don't like crazy colors except chartreuse. I like anything natural.
Do you have them on a lead or is it just on the
if I'm calling a monkey, it's straight 12-pound, 15-pound monofilament, straight out of bait caster. The only time I will have one, if I'm using, I do have some spinning rods I use braid, use 15, 20-pound braid. I'll put a leader on it, monofilament, fluorocarbon leader, same thing, the 12-pound, 15-pound. When I'm using the triangle heads, I just call those jigs. Even though they're made by Lacey, makes swamp monkeys. They're a swamp monkey jig, and that's more for vertical jigging.
Mm-hmm.
But I will cast these at times. That's a 3/4. That's a big dude. That's for getting down them 50, 60, 70 feet fish. Or sometimes them fish come up just off your bow and you can't fire into them. 12-pound test on a spinner rod and 3/4 jig, you can try to reach them. You can reach them pretty good. But as for me, 75%, 80% of the time I'm fishing a triangle jig. It's vertical, or at least it's going to be deep, even if I'm casting out, but I'm still vertical jigging almost, even though it's at an angle, jigging it back to you. I will cast in with just a fluke, or put a paddle tail on it, but I'm working it just the same way as I would a mussel, hopping it or slow rolling it to you, just using a 3/8 ounce or a 1/2 ounce. But as for my jigging, I used to use spinning rods almost entirely, which is what I still use for my casting, especially for my clients. But I've switched over to line counters. You got a little bit slower fall when when you got that school ride on, you're trying to get that jig down there. A little bit slower fall, but you can just say, here, just pitch that thing out 30 feet, turn it and start jigging. And even as you take a newbie, just tell them, wash that thing, put it on 30 feet, 50 feet, wherever it is, and just start jigging, popping. Even if you cast it out for them, because it's a heavy jig, it's coming straight down in that school. Sometimes the line counter's a little more expensive than your regular spinning reels, but it just makes life a lot easier. A lot of times I'll take this dude, pitch it out, set it 50 feet, put it in the holder, throw another one out 50 feet, set it, put it in the holder, come back, start jigging, and say, go ahead and start jigging that one. That way everything's out, we're ready to roll. Just getting it out quick. That was that's kind of a preference thing there. But like I said, I used to jig with a spinner rod all the time just because you can get it down fast. 12-pound braid, 15-pound braid, let it eat.
All your years of guiding
Yes, sir.
and having customers on the boat, give us one good story of customers, like just something humorous that happened, something.
Anybody?
I got one.
Yeah.
My favorite one that has told me so far.
This is more White Brook.
Yeah, I'm Brooke.
Hi.
She's the one that fishing with me now since I'm Weekend Warrior.
He came home and he goes, "You won't believe what happened." I said, "What?" He said, "My client washed their hands in the bait tank today." And I said, "They did what?" He said, "Of all the lake, stuck their hands right in the bait tank." Washed them right off.
Sunscreen on.
With soap?
No.
I can't tell you how many times people will, you got bait and looking at it, we've been getting bait out the tank all morning. People will reach their hand, y'all know this. Reach your hand in the bait tank, wash your hands off, and then right in that snack bag.
That was just fish, but that one gets me.
Yeah, that's always great. Best time, let me tell you this real quick. The best time I had was I had some people on the boat, and we was fishing right around, I call it the cartel house, it's right there, just right before you get to Frank County Community Park, but you're still on the state park side before you wrap that deal. We was fishing right in there, and guys, I heard the guy, and they've been GoProing all day. I heard the guy sneeze. He said, "Oh, a few cuss words." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I just sneezed and blew my teeth out." I said, "What do you mean you blew your teeth out?" I said, "What do you mean you blew your teeth out?" His son is laying on the floor dying. He couldn't speak, it's so funny. He said, "I sneezed and my top teeth blew out." He said, "By the time I noticed what happened, they disappeared in the water." I said, "Well, if I read anything in the water, I don't know what. I just have to deal with it." That's right. Yeah, that's a good one. That's one I'll stick with for a long time.
Got a question on catfishing. These last 2 months, I've caught so many huge mudcats on hit sticks. Is our population skyrocketing with the mudcats? I mean,
I hope so.
God, I catch it every night. It's 3 or 4 big mudcats. Throwing hit sticks.
I hope so, because it does seem like, now, I haven't got the catfish like I used to, and I haven't got the cat, when I talk about me going catfish, I'm talking about going fishing flathead, mudcats, whatever you want to call it. It seemed like we got a pile of 8, 10, 12 pounders. And I don't know if it's just me not fishing all the years that I missed, but it just seems like, man, is you gotta fish so hard to get that 20, 25, 30 pounder. It just seemed like they're so far and few in between, but I know things have changed. But I hope so. But I know a lot of flatheads that have left this lake that's never come back. And I like good catfish, they're dinner myself, the big ones.
What's a 30-inch flathead weigh, you think?
30-inch flathead, you're probably as fat as them things are. You're probably around 10, 12 pound fish there. I'd say low teens.
Caught a 37 a couple nights ago, and it was 37 inch, and it was 21 pounds.
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, and I mean, man, it's just, I hope so, because there was a lot of, and I like I said, I like to eat them, but I've seen a lot of 25, 30, 35 pounders leaving this lake.
What's the easy way to clean one? I haven't done it yet. I keep catching them,
Every
but I haven't
time
done
I-
it. What's the easy way?
You know,
Your favorite's the belly meat on it, isn't it?
if you don't get the belly meat out of it, you're missing 2 fine pork chops.
Yes.
Because you fillet them just like any catfish. I fillet catfish entirely different than I fillet a striper. But it's the same principle. You lay a striper on the side, I look at the top, and I'm going down just like you see on the videos. I go right down the rib cage, right over the ribs, come back to backbone, lay the fillet over, skin it, red meat gone. Catfish, I lay it on his belly. Channel cat, flathead, blue cat, no matter. I lay it right on his belly, looking right down at the top. Start at his head. I make a circle around his gills, streak down the back. And I'm not skinning him like I used to when I was a kid. And I come down and I go right to his ribs. But you're doing it just like a striper. You're going along the spine, right to his ribs and over his ribs. But you're doing it with him laying on his belly. It's almost like you're working down rather than working on the side. So you go down his belly, take his fillets off, you lay him over, you skin him out just like a striper. Take his skin off, flip him over, and you cut around the bottom of his ribs all the way through his little tail hole there. And then you come back right under his chin. And you take that belly meat out, and you got 2 big pork chops right there. You skin that guy out both sides, flip it over. They do have an inside liner, just like a deer's got silver skin. You got to take that out too. But other than that, man, best eating out of the lake, in my opinion. Take 8 pound flathead, feed 2 or 3 people. Oh man, fries and okra, ain't no better.
Oh, yeah.
Ask you something else. I know we got time for one more. Are you talking about stories? Me and him had a few good times out on the water, especially when he's giving all his fish away. He's out there taking one. So me and him, he's chartered me out several times here, and got to be pretty good friends on the water. And I ain't got to see him much since I haven't fished much this year because I'm a working man, weekend warrior. It's awful. That's for the birds. But we was out fishing. We had a great day. Caught some nice fish. And he's out there. Is it your buddy or
My dad.
your dad? That's right. It's your dad on the boat, and his other boats, like 2 or 3 other boats around. And he's taking them to school. He's got fish on, doubled up. Him and his dad's on. So this guy and his wife, they're all like, "Hey, what y'all catching, stripers?" He said, "You want one?" He said, "Sure." So we handed that guy right over to him.
And they tried to book you for the next day.
Yep, I was already booked.
Yeah.
Yep. That was good fun.
They were from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They come in about twice a year. They rent a house, and husband and wife, they were out fishing. Me and Dad went out the next day and seen them out there.
Yeah.
And rode by them and asked them if they enjoyed the fish. I told them we were with the guide yesterday, but we're at my boat today. He said, "Oh yeah, we cooked that up. That was good." And they wanted to know about you. They had talked to several guides, but they liked you the best out of everybody that they talked to. I
That's
said,
one
"Well,
thing. I always try to have a 100% fun time out there, whether fishing. I know sometimes it gets frustrated. The fishing ain't doing what you want to do, and very few skunks in my career. You're going to get skunked. It's going to happen. But And honestly, we were able to scrap out at least 2 or 3 fish, but I tried to have the best daggone time doing it. I always had a blast. That was my take from fishing, just meeting all these people, having a ball out there.
What's the best striper you boated?
Out of this lake,
Yeah.
the longest one is 44 inches. The biggest one is 32 pounds. And I caught neither one of them.
How long ago?
My personal, we actually haven't, we put, I think, 3 fish over 30 pounds in my charter's career. So it's been 3 or 4 years since I've seen one that I remember. But we, average big fish in my boat that we have seen is anywhere from 22 to 26 pounds. My personal best out of this lake, fishing myself, chartering too, is 28 pounds. And that was me and a good friend of mine. That's actually the fish that's on my business card in front of it. We was fishing Becky and Betty's. Everybody's, and this was a summertime fish. Everybody's down the river. We was goofing off, and it was more of a fluke accident than anything. We're sitting out there just reminiscing. The next thing you know, we got drag going. I look back on a 30-foot downline. It's already at 100-some feet. How he didn't get in the trees, I'll never know. But that was my biggest fish I caught out of this lake.
That's a 40-inch fish?
I can't remember what that one was, but I feel like he was 40, as of inch-wise. We took, that was a summertime fish, and by the time he got in, he was not going back. He was yellow. And that's a good rule of thumb that I practice. I don't know if it's true, but if you get that fish in and he's already got that yellow tint, his vibrant colors in there, throw him in the cooler. I think he's done lost so much oxygen out of his system. That's what I understand when these things fight and get stressed and start losing that oxygen out of the bloodstream. That's when they get that yellow tint to them. Throw him in the cooler, and he was, as soon as we got, like I said, he already done stripped out 100 feet of line before we even got to the rod. By the time we got him in, it was a battle. But we got him in, and I remember getting him away to Dwayne's. This was, I don't know how many years ago. It was 6 or 8 years ago. And actually, I will tell you, half, if not more than half, of our fish have big fish, citation fish. I come from bottom fishing. That makes, and it's always been March to June.
I was gonna just ask you to talk about any situation, like give them the setup of, you're like,
That's not fall fishing, Chad.
I'm not gonna do nothing, but I'm gonna anchor up on a point and I'm gonna bottom fish.
Weston likes it when I go to the bottom.
I love it. You got that tree right around there.
I'll tie that baby at a heartbeat. That keeps you from having to pull them anchors out. But it's more of a springtime thing. I've caught fish on the bottom in the fall, but it's not nothing like the springtime bottom fishing bite. But we'll tie up to a tree. I'll put the anchors out. I'll put the nose of my boat right on the mud. Anything but the rocks. And I'm fishing the same areas I was fishing. I'm just putting them baits on the bottom. You know, almost catfishing. Live shad, live alewives, live bluebacks, cut them up. A lot of times I'll switch them one way to another. Different rod, different rod, different rod. Have different bait. You figure out what you want. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna throw them shad out, alewives out, and throw them out alive to start off with. Then if you're getting a lot of hits, bam, he's hitting it. By the time you get there, he's back straight. He's gonna kill the bait or took it off. I'll cut that bait in half, throw it back out there. A lot of times they'll pick it up. It's like they want to eat it, but they don't want to spend the energy to chase it.
Then do you hook, when you bottom fishing, do you hook them like there was another guy that I went out with here years ago? Instead of hooking the shad through the nose, when he was bottom fishing, he'd hook it right behind the vent.
All right.
So he would swim up.
If I'm running bottom rigs and I'm putting a gitter shad out there, I'm gonna hook him right in his nose just like you would on a plain board. If I'm throwing a alewives out there or a blueback out there, I'm gonna hook him just like I would a live bluegill for a flathead. I'm gonna put it right there above his little tail hole. But
That's hooking them on the back, but above there.
Huh?
You hook them on the upper side.
I actually hook them on the bottom.
The bottom, okay.
Now, when you put a LYs or a blueback on the bottom, he's gonna live about 5 minutes. So it really don't matter if you hook him in the butthole or you hook him in the dorsal fin. I don't hook them in the lips, just cause it seems like once you put them on the bottom, things are almost instantly dead. You know, it's like they just anchor them down nose first and they're not gonna do anything. So I will put them, if I, a little off subject, if I'm using a live bluegill or live shad for flathead, they're gonna stay alive a lot longer than the LYs or blueback. Because once you put them on the bottom, it feels like it's 5 minutes and they're done.
I think they just suck that mud up, don't you think?
They just like a striper, they have to keep swimming. You hold one still, he's gonna die. Get a shad, I think they're a little more tough, a little more forgiving.
Are you talking about fishing shallower water on the bottom?
I'll put in babies in 2 feet of water if I have to on the bottom. I actually, if I anchor the boat down, just say, I anchor the boat down, boat 6 feet of water. I'm on almost, but I'm anchored parallel with the shoreline. This shoreline is the boat. Got an anchor out here, and anchor out here, so the boat don't spin. I'm actually gonna fish in a big D shape. I'm throwing 2 right down the bank. I'm throwing 2 out of 45, and I'm throwing 2 straight out the back. And I'm gonna take one, I'm gonna stick him right on the bottom, right here below it. I'm gonna crank it up, crank the sinker up, just like downline, 2 feet off the bottom, let him swim. He will stay alive. He'll swim all the whole time he's sitting there. And you'll be surprised how many fish, especially in the later spring when they're spawning, and you're reeling them fish in, and 3 or 4 fish are following him, and you get them fish in, you get that fish in the net, next thing you know, that one's gone down just because the fish followed him. And a lot of times, you're sitting there, and that's the one that wakes you up, because he gets hit and makes the most noise, you didn't kick back. But on my charters, bottom fishing for me was always the last resort. If they wasn't doing this, they wasn't doing that, they wasn't doing that, we're going to the bottom. A lot of times you think, well, what I'm doing this all day long. Because you can't even get them out fast enough sometimes you bust. But that's another time when you're not marking fish, you will mark fish, but not every time you go to set up on the bottom. You find yourself, even in the spring and the fall, you find the bait, you find where the fish should be. One thing that got me doing a lot of bottom fishing is we're pulling a stretch with planer boards, early spring, say April. We're coming through there, and he's swirling on it, and he's busting on it, but he won't take it. Try a couple different sizes of baits, a couple different speeds. You know, you got a couple fish. A lot of times we've actually pulled pulled the boat right through those fish. Put it right on the shoreline, anchored down, tied it to a tree, whatever. Put it right on the bottom, can't even get it out fast enough. It's like they want to eat, but they don't want to chase. They don't want to exert the energy. But you go out the next day, it's vice versa, entirely different, same area. But we catch a lot of big fish, and when they reintroduced the stripers into the Optimus tournament, when it was still called the Optimus tournament, before I started chartering, that's how we placed every time with bottom fish. With big fish, 22, 24 pounders. I know 24 was the biggest one we turned in for the Optimus tournament. They was all called bottom fishing. But that's a springtime thing, Chad, so we won't talk about that. That'll be when I come in March. Yeah.
Anybody go ahead, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Travis, I'd be remiss not to thank you for 2 things.
Talk to me.
One was a video you did. Now, I've tied lots of knots that have failed over and over. But the one knot that has never failed me is what you taught me to do in that video, and that's
Kite fish or snell?
kite fish or snell knot. Not only is it pretty, according to my wife, but I've never lost a hook due to a fish or a snake from
7
that.
times out of 10, just in case you get that hook hung up, 7 times out of 10 you're gonna bust the leader before you bust that knot.
Exactly.
Why, I don't know. But there's no way I do know. There's no pressure. That knot don't cinch itself. It's a pressure knot.
Yep. The second thing I want to thank you for is that several years ago, you and I were at the same light throwing cast net for bait. And you threw these beautiful, perfect circles.
7 times out of 10, I thought it worked.
Hold it up, and it's under the light, and so these gorgeous alewives or whatever they were flashing in the light. It was just beautiful. And I was hanging back.
Good place to see, don't it?
I was hanging back because I didn't want to get in your way. And you said, you won't be in my way, just come on in and throw.
Oh, yeah.
And so I proceeded to throw 3 tacos, and you didn't laugh.
Under my breath.
Instead, you said to me, I've got more than enough bait, would you like some of mine?
Oh, man.
And man, you saved my butt that
I was happy to
day.
do it.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I love hearing stuff like that.
What do you do tomorrow morning?
Going to work. Hey, he's not a hire for charter anymore, but he can be bought for bait.
Yeah, yeah, I love sharing bait.
Anybody else got anything for Travis?
Give me one more. I like this. One more. I'm on a roll now. Yeah. Ask me something, Chad.
I'm not that smart. I've wasted all my resources.
You want one of these questions from, Lacey or Craig?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I swear on live.
We got kids here though, so just maybe edit it.
Nessa, do you, I can't say that one.
Can we get, can we get 2
Y'all wanna
parts
know
of
what
a
it
Ric
was?
Flair woo from him before he leaves?
He might give you a woo. And he said, who takes the best, sunset pictures or sunrise pictures?
Michael Ward. That's the most things I've ever seen. And he'll post it, baby, Steve.
Can't ask that one.
We have a test?
Yeah,
I got one. I got
yes,
one.
yes,
There
sir.
you go.
I got one. You throw in lights. White, blue, green.
That's for the lights.
Which one's
Whichever
your
one's got the bait on it.
Right. You see any difference?
I would say yes, but not often enough that I got to have that color and I
Right.
got to go to that light, yes.
Okay.
White lights, the only difference I do know is white lights, brighter lights, LEDs, you get a lot more glow.
Right.
You like lights in the water or above the water?
I like them above the water because I always hang the ones in the water. Especially the ones they want to put them out 20 feet in front of their dock. But I've had pretty good luck with years past with it used to be called hydroglows and those sort of things. I think there's 20 different brands of them now.
Yeah, there is.
We used to have some. I used to keep my boat when I first started chartering up in Indian Creek, when there's still Indian Point. When Vieira's was down there, and we used to have a couple hydroglows off those docks. And then we had the one hanging over the gas pumps there. And you would see some days they were under the light hanging over the gas pumps, some days they was on the hydroglows. I just think if they got a light, just like now, I go out now, I don't have any lights. I got a home light, I got 3 or 4 lights to choose from. One day they'll be on this one, they'll be on that one for a week, and then they're gone. You go up here, you through for an hour on this one, you ain't got nothing. You go up here, you get one throw, you're done.
Yeah.
And then we'll switch. And you might stay like that for 2 months. For preference, I can't say I've seen it enough to figure out a pattern. As long as you got options, you don't always have options, so sometimes you just gotta use what you have too. Depends on where you're at and how much you wanna ride at night. Yes.
Now that you got a regular 9 to 5, how much fishing do you do?
Not as much as I thought I was gonna do. Now, a lot of that is, me. I took off these charters, man. I miss them. I do. I hate it. But a lot of it's for me. So we're doing a lot of stuff. We got a lot of cruise-ins. We like old cars, going races and stuff. So we do a lot of stuff that I didn't get to do. The past couple of years. We're doing a lot of that.
Get out once a week, once a month?
You know the last time I fished Smith Mountain Lake? My birthday was August 6th, and I fished the weekend before that. That was the last time I fished Smith Mountain Lake. Not because I hadn't wanted to. We didn't have enough time. We was down at the beach for a week. I fished all down at Harris, man. Put the boat, had a blast. I've done some fishing elsewhere. Just haven't been on the lake. I'm hoping try to get that going to change. Get a few irons in the fire. A couple weekends booked up, some other things, but yes, I plan to get back out there before too long, but you know how plans go.
I miss chasing you around.
Yes.
Travis, do stripers taste any better if you cut their gills right after you catch them?
I think that's a personal preference. I used to believe them from my clients, but after you get a few fish that just, when you try to put them in the cooler and you cut them, I've had a pair of scissors, cut the gills, drop them in the cooler. Man, you talk about after a couple weeks of that, that's awful, 6 days a week. In summertime, I quit that about as soon as I started. That's me, depends on the fish. Stripers, I do not cut the gills. If I'm gonna take a flathead home, I'm gonna cut his gills. The difference in the meat, I can't say in my preference, there's a difference in taste. There's a huge difference in the cleanliness of that fillet. It gets the blood out, I mean, that's for sure, you clean the fish out, a lot whiter, pearlier white. I think that's preference, what you like. Depends on the fish. The only fish I bleed out of this lake is catfish. The only fish I bleed really is freshwater catfish. Saltwater fish I bleed a lot. Depends on what it is. But as you talk about handling those fish, I want to talk about that real quick. My biggest thing in these fish in the summertime, I'll talk to Chad, Dakota, and Weston about y'all's meetings. I haven't been to a meeting yet, so I think y'all have me here. But my thing, when you get these summertime fish, when you get him out, when you get him up to the surface, you just call him out 50, 60 feet of water. When you get him up, the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is you want to weigh him, you want to measure him, you want to do 4 pitches of him, you want to say, okay, we're going to call over the boat, and then throw him back, do the 4 feet of thing. If you plan on releasing that fish, in my opinion, even if he's a big fish, and I tell my clients, I said, look, we got a limit. We're releasing these fish, or if I know he's going to be a big fish or his weight's fighting, I said, get your camera ready. And I'll tell them when they get on the boat, I said, look, we get our limit, we'll see how the fish do. It's hard to go out, it's hard for me to go out when I was running charters. A lot of people disagree with it, but I'll tell you. When you go out and you got this guy and his family that drove 3 hours to go fishing, you go out, you bang a limit, you bang a 4-man limit, in 30 minutes, you're back at about 7 o'clock. You've probably never seen the people. But we're not gonna sit on the fish, it's just to kill the fish either. You know, we're not gonna release them, they just go floating off. Or we come back an hour later and there's 4 fish floating where we didn't turn them loose. And I tell them, I said, the worst thing you can do is hold them up. We'll get you a picture. These kids, they never caught them. It's hard to, after you get these kids off video games, getting them on the fish. Well, we got one. It's a good day. Fish 30 minutes. Y'all ready to go home? You can't do that. You never seen the people. But I'll tell them, as soon as we get on the boat, I kind of give them a little rundown as we're coming out of the no-wake sign. I'll tell them, everything what we're kind of going to be doing today, what to expect. And I'll tell them, once we get our limit, have your camera ready, whoever's not fighting the fish. As soon as we get them out of the net, we're going to get a picture and he's torpedoed right back in the water. Don't matter how much he weigh is, how much weight he's going to be, the length. You get a quick picture for the family, for the memories, back in. Quicker the better, in my opinion. I know.
Don't lift him out of the water, just take the hooker.
Well, see, that's another thing. You almost want to get him out of the water. And I've heard that both ways. In my opinion, you bring him up, just say he's 30 feet down, 40 feet down. You bring him up at water temperature, 86 on the top. Get him out of it, get the hook, and torpedo him right back down. That's just my opinion. I don't know, that's a tricky one there. I've heard both ways. For me, I get him up, get him in that, get the hook out, back. That's, if we're fishing on my boat, we're not keeping fish. You got a lot of people come in the summertime, tourists, vacationers. They don't want to keep any fish. What do you tell them? Well, we can't go fishing today. It's hard, man. That's a tough one. I mean, I'm on both sides of the fence. I don't want to kill them, but that was our living. I kept our lights on. But yeah, that was something I wanted to touch on real quick. Be quicker as possible. Summertime, get him out. If you want, have whoever's fishing by yourself. He's a good fish. While you're wilding in, you want to set that phone up on the console and have that thing ready to go. A lot of times I would do is I would actually have that thing recorded. I take a video myself when I'm just out fishing. I know he's a good fish, so I get a picture of this one. I'll stick it up there and have that thing recorded. That way, when I get up, I get the fish, unhook it, show them in front of the camera, throw it back in, go back later, screenshot it. Save your picture. This is something little tip.
Is there any truth, that if you're gonna release a fish, never hold it vertically? They say that if it's held vertically, it stretches the intestine out, because it's normally supposed to be horizontally supported by the water.
I don't know about that one. I might not go for stripers. The only reason I say that is because back in the NSBA, National Striped Bass Association tours, they had striper tubes, but striper tubes are large form tuna tubes they use for trolling marble. Where they put a little skipjack tuna in there. Striper tubes is a 20-gallon version of that, and he's head first vertical, and he'll stay alive for hours. You keep the water at the right temperature. You can't do it with 85-degree water. But you keep the water at the right temperature. I don't even know if you can even get striper tubes. I see one floating around on the flea market, striper flea market. They used to have, the NSBA used to have a live fish weigh-in, almost like bass fishing tournaments, and you almost get a penalty if you brought your fish up in the cooler. I think it was less restricted, is that right?
Yeah. Man, that's probably been 15 years ago.
You're old enough to remember that.
Longer than that.
And, but yeah, they were
They'd have them in a pool.
Yeah, you remember all that.
Oh, yeah, I've got two of the tubes still.
Yeah, but yeah, that they straight up and down, it's like a little tuna tube. That might go for some fish, but not stripers, I don't think. I'm not a biologist, but that would be my thoughts on it.
Well, I want to thank Travis for coming in tonight. It was
I know I ramble, but I was gonna leave my cards up here because I still like to talk fishing. So if anybody wants to take them, call me, text me.
You won't answer.
I don't know.
Or he'll, no, I'm not even.
Depends on who it is.
Some of the things he might